Imagine a country the size of a continent suddenly goes out of business. The police stop getting paid, the laws stop mattering, and the world's most valuable factories are just sitting there idle. In 1992, Russia was the Wild West, and the gold wasn't in the ground, it was in the smelters. This is a story from the book The World for Sale about how a few ballsy Western traders walked into a war zone and walked out with billions. This is the Aluminium Wars. So you are David Reuben or a trader at Glencore. You look at Russia and see these massive aluminium plants. But there is a problem. The plants are broke. They cannot afford the raw ore, alumina, to make the metal. So you offer them a deal they cannot refuse. It's called tolling. You say, I will buy the ore, I will ship it to your factory, you cook it into aluminium, and I'll pay you a service fee to keep the lights on. Then I take the finished metal and sell it to London for a 500% profit. It was genius, it was legal, and it turned the Russian industrial heartland into a giant ATM for guys sitting in penthouses in London and Switzerland. The undisputed kings of this were the Reuben brothers. They teamed up with some local talent, the Cherny brothers. Now the Chernies knew how Russia worked. They knew who to talk to, and more importantly, who to scare. By the mid-90s, the Reubens Transworld Group was basically a shadow state. They controlled the two biggest smelters in the world. They weren't just trading metal, they were deciding the fate of entire cities of 200,000 people. But here is the thing about the world for sale. Nothing is ever truly bought. It is just rented until someone tougher comes along. This wasn't a boardroom battle, it was a street war. If a factory director did not want to play ball with the tolling scheme, he would accidentally run into a gunman on his way home. The book mentioned Vadim Feasov. He tried to challenge the system. He lasted exactly 10 days before he was executed in his car. This was the price of doing business in the 90s. While the Reubens were the muscle, Glencore was the brain. They did not want to fight for the smelters. Instead, they bought the Nikolaev refinery in Ukraine. Why? Because almost all the ore going into Russia had to pass through there. Glencore basically owned the front door. If the Reubens got too greedy, Glencore could just close the door. It was a cold, calculated game of chess played with millions of tons of metal. The Reubens thought they were the smartest guy in the room. They hired a young Russian named Oleg Deripaska to run their operations. Big mistake. Deripaska was a physics prodigy who realized he did not need the London guys anymore. He watched them, learned their tricks, and then with a bit of political backing, he kicked them out of their own factories. By the time Reubens realized what happened, they were on a plane back to London, and Deripaska was a new aluminium king of Russia. The aluminium wars ended when Putin came to power and told the oligarchs, you can keep your money, but you now work for me. The Wild West was over. The Reubens took their cash and became some of the biggest landlords in London. Glencore stayed in the game, proving that no matter who is in charge, the world always needs a middleman. Thank you for listening. This story was from the book The World for Sale. Stay tuned for a few more stories from that book. I hope you like what you heard. If you do so, please give a thumbs up, follow my channel, and spread the message. Thank you once again.